Hey, welcome back. Let's dive into a topic that gets people talking, but is way more complex than most folks realize. We're talking about undocumented immigration. But here's the twist. We're looking beyond the usual money in versus money out. We're digging into the deeper, lesser-known impact undocumented immigrants have on our communities, the economy, and even our everyday lives. Now, before we jump in, let me say this. I'm not here to advocate for undocumented immigration as a policy. No. This isn't about supporting it or not supporting it. What we're doing here today is simply exploring the reality that often gets overlooked, especially when we hear claims that all undocumented immigrants are just a drain on the system. Hey, we're going to take a look at the full picture here to understand where these beliefs come from and what the data actually says about the issue. So welcome back to Old Guy Insights, where I, Steve, your friendly neighborhood old guy, share life's bigger lessons and some under-the-radar facts. Today, we're taking on the topic of undocumented immigration through the lens of perception versus reality. And trust me, these two can be worlds apart. So stick around because I'm going to give you some surprising points like crime rates, the critical jobs they fill in the unexpected ways undocumented immigrants, support programs like Social Security and Medicare are impacted. And a little later, I've got a point to ponder that might hit closer to home than you think. Maybe even your own backyard. And hey, here's a thought to kick us off. Some of the loudest voices condemning undocumented immigrants have ended up hiring them themselves. I mean, over the years, we've heard stories of politicians who were caught with undocumented house cleaners, nannies, and gardeners. Some Republicans, and let's be honest, it's an issue that's a lot more complex than a simple drain narrative suggests. So let's jump into the first point people often misunderstand: crime. Now, we've all heard the stereotypes and sensationalized headlines, but pause with me for a second. Studies show something surprising. Undocumented immigrants actually commit crimes at a lower rate than native-born Americans. I know, that might catch you off guard, but it's true. Here's what it means for the reality side of this argument. Neighborhoods with a lot of undocumented residents often see less strain on police, prisons, and public safety. I mean, let that sink in for a moment. Lower crime rates mean safer streets and significant savings for taxpayers. That's a reality, but it rarely makes the news. So if that perception's off, what else are we missing? Let's move on to work. We've all heard people say, they're taking our jobs. But here's what doesn't get talked about enough. Many undocumented immigrants fill roles that are essential, but tough, low-paying jobs. These are jobs most of us wouldn't want for ourselves or our families. I'm talking about farm work, construction, and long hours in restaurant kitchens. Picture this. You're biting into a crisp apple or putting up the new drywall in your home. Chances are an undocumented worker had a hand in making that possible. Because they keep costs low, our grocery bills and building budgets stay affordable. Here's the twist. It's not just farms or construction sites. Think about your own neighborhood. I mean, how many people hire undocumented workers to mow their lawns, clean their homes, or help with household chores? It's closer to home than most people realize. And if those workers weren't there, it would have a big impact, not just on the economy, but on our everyday experiences. So here's a question. Is this really just their issue, or is it also our issue? And while we're on that thought, if you're finding this information helpful or eye-opening, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, and if I've earned your trust, ring that notification bell. I put a lot of time into gathering the research and bringing you the facts, so Hey, and you can check my facts. My notes and sources are in the video description if you want to dive even deeper. Now, this next point is one of the most surprising. Contributions to Social Security and Medicare. A lot of undocumented workers are paying into these programs, even though they'll likely never see a dime of that money back. I mean, that's right. They're putting billions, with a B, into Social Security and Medicare, supporting benefits for the rest of us. Imagine that, giving so much to a system you'll never see the rewards from. It's like planting a tree you'll never sit under. And yet, they do it year after year, keeping these programs alive a little longer for everyone else. That's the reality, but most people don't know it. And then there's consumer spending. It's easy to forget that undocumented immigrants are regular folks, just like anyone else. They're buying groceries, paying rent, going to Best Buy, shopping at small stores, and paying sales taxes, all of which fuels the local economy. Their spending helps hometown businesses and adds to tax revenue. They're not just working, they're buying, building, and boosting the economy. Now, of course, they do use some public services, and I can hear you saying that now. Kids need classrooms, and emergency health care is always available to everyone. But here's the thing. People often assume undocumented immigrants are draining social services, but that's simply not true. They're actually excluded from most federal programs, so they're not taking up welfare as much as some folks think. And here's something most people overlook. Their kids, who often grow up here, go to college and end up contributing way more in taxes as adults than it ever cost to educate them. It's a long-term benefit that often gets lost in the noise. So how does this all add up? Well, if you just look at the cost versus benefit spreadsheet, it might seem like a net negative. But when you dig deeper, considering things like lower crime rates, critical jobs, contributions to Social Security, steady spending, and stabilizing effect on our aging workforce, the scales start to look more balanced, and in some ways, even beneficial. This issue isn't something you can sum up with a spreadsheet. All right, let's take a second here. Have you ever thought about where you might cross paths with an undocumented worker? Maybe that low-priced meal at your favorite restaurant, the person who mowed your lawn, or someone who helped clean your home. Now, this issue isn't just out there in the abstract. It's close to home, in the little things that we all rely on every day. I mean, imagine for a second, what if these unseen hands, mowing lawns, working in kitchens, working at your fast food place, stocking shelves, suddenly weren't there? It's hard to picture, isn't it? We'd feel it right away in our own lives. Thanks for sticking with me through this breakdown. If you've enjoyed these dives into the details and want to keep learning and want to hear more overlooked insights, hey, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and boop that notification bell for more. And remember, you can check the video description for all the sources and my notes I used today, because I like to keep things grounded in solid research here at Old Guy Insights. Here's my challenge to you. Next time someone talks about what people take versus what they give, ask yourself what the real story might be. It's amazing how often we miss the full picture. This is a complex issue that affects real people, families, and communities, and the country as a whole. So let's keep it respectful in the comments and stay open and learn from each other, because sometimes the best way to understand is by listening. If you watch this video up to this point, you'll enjoy this next one right here. All right, stay awesome, keep learning, and as always, do good things. See ya.